Hey everyone, it's Matt here, and today we're doing another episode of Did I Get What I Ordered? And this one is going to be a rather interesting one. So I'm laughing because I'm thinking about this because, like I've mentioned before in previous videos, a decent chunk of this footage, unless it's for a specific Christmas episode, a decent chunk of this footage is footage that I filmed a while back. Literally last year. And I know that we're at the beginning of this year, at least when this is coming out, it should still be. So you would think, well, you know, it was just a month or two ago. No, some of this footage is really far back. So in this video, I'm actually getting a new console and also some games for said console. So, and technically for other consoles as well. No guessing this time. But the point is that when it comes to this, console, you might think, oh, well, what console is it and when did you get it? Well, again, I did get it just last year, but when it comes to the console, it's actually been hidden in plain sight for a decent chunk of last year's videos because I didn't have a place to put it other than the gaming shelf behind me. So, which one of these is it? Well, we're gonna find out right now. So starting off with the console in question, as you can see, it is the base original Xbox One. So why would I get into this in 2021? I specifically got this in January of 2021, so why would I get into it so late? Well, there was a few different reasons. So first things first is I never really got into the Xbox series of consoles. I've mentioned before on this channel, and even on different episodes of Did I Get What I Ordered, my dad was into the original Xbox and also the Xbox 360 as well, but when it came to consoles that he bought me when I was living with my mom, it would usually be either he bought me or other family members did and he would buy me games for. It would be, when I was a kid, it was Super Nintendo. It was the also the PS1 as well, even though I'm 29 years old, so by the time the Super Nintendo that I ended up getting one, it was actually N64 time, but I had either no idea or I didn't really pay too much attention, and so I was just happy with the Super Nintendo, even though I got it super late, and the PS1 as well. And then I got the PS2 and then a PS3 and 4, but again, significantly later when you compare when they actually came out. It got a little bit better as time went on, the gaps, but still when it came to just Xbox in general, it was never really my thing. But I thought that now would be the time to have it be my thing with Xbox backwards compatibility. You can, there's more to it than this, but you can just pop in a disc from an Xbox game or an Xbox 360 game, and if it's compatible, if it does work, then it just will do just that. And when you look at something like the PS4, as much as I do enjoy that console, it can't really do that with previous games. So looking at some cheaper Xbox games that I've already gotten on this channel that I will be getting for future episodes, Did I Get What I Ordered, they're significantly cheaper than you would think, and just being able to just pop them in and play them is amazing. Now, what I do have a problem with though is the size of this thing. I did not expect this thing to be that huge, even though I can look at this picture right here off of the eBay listing and it should have clicked, but it really didn't click how big this thing would be. It really reminds me of an old school VCR. I did get it with the controller and all the hookups and everything, so I didn't really have to spend any other money outside of just getting this console. I ended up paying $130, which I think is a good deal, but then when you add the shipping and the tax, it then ended up being $178. But in my opinion, based on the fact that while yes, the Xbox One X does have graphical upgrades, and of course the Series X and the Series S, well, Series X obviously more upgrades, and also of course the fact that you'd have games exclusively for the Series X, but the thing is, I just don't have that kind of money to drop. Just $500 for games that will kind of look better, or I shouldn't say kind of, will definitely look better. But when it comes to wanting to play retro games, when it comes to something like Game Pass, when you look at this console, even though it's the base unit from 2013, it can still run Game Pass just fine. It can still run Xbox One games, and even like I said before, certain Xbox and Xbox 360 games just fine. So I can easily just get this. If I ever want to upgrade, I can upgrade. But at this point, I'm perfectly fine just buying this used. It hasn't failed on me yet. The actual controller works just fine as well, and downloading games work just fine. I've bought a few games for different sales and whatnot. Won't really be showcasing those as they're digital, so on Did I Get What I Ordered, but some really fun games that I've gotten. So personally, I think that even though, yes, I could have shelled out maybe 50 to 100 more to get an Xbox One X used, or a couple more hundred to get the Series X, I'm fine with this, and I would highly suggest getting one if you want a cheaper alternative. Hopefully it hasn't gone up too much in price over the last year, but for me, this works just fine. But enough about the Xbox One, let's actually look at a gaming pickup. And this one is actually a game that I've heard about for years now. We're going to have a very Xbox themed episode, everyone. But I've heard about this game for years, and I've always wanted to check it out because it seemed like something that was up my alley, but I just never had the chance to because I've never owned an Xbox console. And also, it's very hard for me to open it up. Maybe I'll never be able to experience this game. Oh my god, it is a case within a case. Kudos to the seller. Thank you so much. This game is packed much better than I thought it would be. So the game is Blinks on the original Xbox, specifically the Platinum Hits Edition. I don't really care about the case being Platinum and not the original case. I like both, actually. Platinum, it has like a really cool like Sprite vibe to it, kind of like the I forgot which flavor of Sprite had that kind of color scheme, but I think it's better than some other color schemes I've seen for some boxes. But yeah, no, this is an original Xbox game. I don't remember if this was actually planned for the Dreamcast and it was moved to the Xbox, but either way, opening this thing up, we have a manual, which is really nice. We have the game right there, and in this case, so I'm not going to try it on the Xbox One. I will be trying it on the Xbox 360, and looking at this manual here, it's actually not in bad shape at all. I ended up picking up this game for $12, and I think that's a really good deal. That was before shipping and tax and whatnot, but I got it part of a bigger order, so it's a bit hard to calculate that. But when it comes to this game, getting it for that price and also being able to play it on the original Xbox One and future editions of the Xbox One, like the X and the Series and stuff, is really cool. Again, we're trying it on the 360 later, but it still is really cool that I can actually do that as well. It's clearly a GameStop version of the disc. I don't remember GameStop actually doing that to discs. I have a feeling that would actually screw up the disc, wouldn't it? Like you couldn't read the data? Tell me if I'm wrong down below. Either way, though, there are no scratches on the front of this disc. I think it looks fine. The back of this disc it's used clearly, but I think it could be a lot worse. Some weird stuff around the edges and whatnot. I think maybe someone tried to clean this game. Maybe that's why it looks a little weird. But still, it's not really that bad as far as I'm concerned. I think that the game has a chance to work. You can see the Xbox logo shining in the back there. That's pretty cool. But either way, though, I think that this game will work. So let's jump to trying it out on the Xbox 360. So it says that it is reading the game, taking a long time doing that in my opinion. A little bit nervous, not gonna lie. It says that I can play it, so that's a good sign. But there is a problem that arose. When I clicked on it, it says that the original Xbox game is not supported on your 360 console. An update to support this game may be available. So I don't know if I have to. I was under the impression that my 360 was completely updated, so I didn't know if I had to do that or if it was a problem. I looked online that there was an issue with certain like versions of the hard drive. If you have like a third-party hard drive, it might not work, and I didn't think that I had one. I'm pretty sure that mine is an original 360 hard drive, but still, I sat there and I was like, this is weird. I don't know if it's something to do with that GameStop sticker on top of the freaking disc. So that's when we actually moved over to the Xbox One, because I thought, well, I have the Xbox One, so let's try it. And here it is, working on the Xbox One. And what's really cool is with the Xbox One, sure, you could use a game capture device. Personally, I still have the, oh wow. So even though I didn't have an Xbox growing up, like I've been saying over and over again, I do really love this opening. I remember seeing this opening to Xbox games when it came to Shenmue 2 and when it came to Gears of War, and I love that opening. But when it comes to the game, like recording footage and whatnot, what's really cool is you can use an Elgato, you can use like a Roxio. I have the Elgato Game Capture HD. I don't have the newest one, but what I really enjoy as well is that I can also end up using not an SD card. I just said SD card. I meant a flash drive. I can plug that into the back of the console or into the side, and I can actually record the footage directly there, which is pretty cool as someone who wants to record a lot of different footage, not just for Game Pass games, but also just for my physical small little collection that I have of now Xbox games and Xbox 360 and Xbox One. Really cool that for the games that are compatible, I can just pop pop them in here and do that. Now, it doesn't upscale the game, so this game isn't in the some games are upscaled to the Xbox One X and the Xbox Series X, so if you're looking for the best quality possible and upscaling and whatnot, definitely the base is not for you. But for me, just being able to record this footage, I think it looks great, especially as an early Xbox game. I remember this being one of the first that they were trying to market for the system. This game looks really good in my opinion. However, I had no idea what the game was about, so I hate timed missions, and literally this game is timing you as you're going through the level, but you can use different like time slowdown mechanics and whatnot, and you do fight other monsters and whatnot throughout the levels. So I've only played the first level so far, but it was really cool. And if you're wondering, why this might not work on the original Xbox 360 and why it works on this somehow, if it isn't about the hard drive and it's about the GameStop sticker, the way that the game actually ends up being loaded on an Xbox One is that it actually downloads a copy from their servers. So to be fair, it's technically just using the game disc as like a key, if you will. But to be fair, is that not what games are nowadays anyway, with all the updates and installs and whatnot? Is at this point really all discs are just keys. If you're a physical person out there wanting to get physical collections only, that's really where we are with gaming. So I'm okay with this because when it comes to this game, I can play it on other systems as well, like the originals, and also end up playing it on the Xbox One and just downloading it and having a blast. So I want to play more of this game. Can't wait to, because this is a very unique, interesting game, and I also enjoy the story as well, the voiceover work, whatnot. It seems like a very fun world that I want to kind of get lost in for a bit. So yeah, the game works, technically. So the next and last game we're taking a look at today is actually a twofer. It is for the Xbox One, so trying to build up that collection a little bit piece by piece. Not going to have a full set ever, but just trying to build up some games that interest me. It is packed very interestingly, to say the least. So this twofer is Gears of War Ultimate Edition and Rare Replay. I don't know why they bundled these two, and more importantly, why did they go with this box art? Now, the box in general, as you can see, looks a little iffy. I don't really care about the box looking this way personally. What I care about is, obviously, does the game work? And opening this thing up, it's very interesting. Just, there's some like downloadable stuff that I don't really care too much about. No manual, of course, because this is the age that we live in. But we do have a very strange way to pack these games. I thought I only got one game. I was like, where's the other game? And underneath Rare Replay, which I think front of it looks just fine, is Gears of War Ultimate Edition. I don't know why Microsoft did this. It's just they're gonna scratch over time. I don't know why they thought that was the best way to do it. Just shell out a little more to have a double case or something. But I will say though, the price of this was actually really good. Oh God. Jesus, okay, I can see why it was $5. Ended up being $9.44 with the shipping and tax. Oh God, this is bad. This is really, really bad. Okay, this looks like someone just like use this as like a record, like at a turntable, like they just put their hands. Okay, that's, I don't know what that is, and I don't want to know. Okay, I'm gonna put that back, and I'm going to wash my hands with fire, just a little kerosene wash, and then light them on fire. Now the back of this looks also pretty bad, actually. Okay, that's awful. God, do I hate this so much. This is a problem. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to clean these. I'm going to clean them, and then I'm going to see if they work in the Xbox One. But before I ended up cleaning these discs, I wanted to try out Rare Replay on the Xbox One, just how it was out of the box. Now, I would highly suggest not doing this, because depending on what kind of grime and dirt and dust and stuff that's on the disc, it can end up affecting the laser. Didn't do that in my case, but it can hurt it over time. I would highly suggest not doing this. I just wanted to see what would happen. And interestingly enough, as you're seeing, it did download most of the games, because some of it is downloading running the games online, some of it is installing the games from the disc, and some of it is just running the games off the disc. So interestingly enough, it actually worked mostly, but then it gave me the check your disc error. So that's why I ended up cleaning it and then putting it back in. After cleaning it, thankfully, the game does work. So it's not as if the disc was a lost cause, not as if Gears of War Ultimate Edition are lost causes, but you really got to be careful about the games that you're buying online. You got to make sure that you see the backs. I ended up saving maybe $5-10 more just because of the fact that I did not see the back of these discs, and boy howdy was that a mistake. So it's a risk. I knew I was taking that risk to save some cash, and this is what ended up happening. So thankfully I was able to clean them, but not always the case, and Blu-ray discs are very fragile, so you can't just take a tissue and just kind of wipe it down, or a t-shirt and just wipe it down. But hey, at least the game works, so that's awesome. Now looking at Gears of War Ultimate Edition, thankfully this game also works as well, but I have to say, just playing it for about a half an hour or so, I do enjoy the 360 version more. Now, I'm not trying to start any kind of controversy online. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. If you watched the last episode where I ended up getting Gears of War on the 360, I told you, not super into the series, just getting into it fairly recently, but just looking at, while I love graphically how it looks, I feel as if the camera angles that they chose, it's a weird situation because, you know, when a movie's getting remade, it's a full-on remake where there's none of the actors coming back, but it would be like having a remastered edition and kind of going a little bit George Lucas a bit, choosing different, you know, kind of updating special effects, choosing other kind of angles and stuff like that. It's a very interesting situation because, you know, I'm not saying that there has to be a way to play the 360 version on the disc itself. And by the way, you can still use the 360 edition on the Xbox One, and you have that version, not the Ultimate Edition, if you want to end up using it. So to be fair, that is pretty cool. The Ultimate Edition, by the way, does have some DLC and other stuff included with it, so you don't have to rebuy that if you're getting into Gears of War for the first time, or if you just don't have your old account for the 360. So that's also pretty cool as well. I think that, you know, it's still a good price. I ended up getting it for, I basically ended up getting it for $2.50 or $5 if you want to go for the price once we included tax and shipping. So it's not a bad game or anything like that. I just feel like while the graphics are great and while there is a bit more lighting there, I enjoyed how the lighting looked. I enjoyed the camera angles on the original game just from the little bit that I've played. Maybe there's a bunch of other improvements to this game that will make me love it more than the 360 version when I kind of hunker down and play both of them. But when it comes to this right here, it was just one of those things where I wanted to get this, nothing against Gears of War, but I wanted to get this for a rare replay. And I thought, well, if there's a 2-in-1 pack, then I'll end up getting Gears of War Ultimate Edition so I don't have to get it later on. In the off chance, even though it's a Gears of War game, it increases in price. And even something like this, right, a twofer for $5, one day this will increase in price. I don't like the rules, but this is what happens with getting physical games online. Right now, these games seem like they're worth nothing. All of a sudden, in 5 to 10 years, this is like a $50 game. I'm not a fan, but it happens. I should make note though that Rare Replay is on Xbox Game Pass, so if you just want to experience it that way, that's another great way to do so. I don't believe that Ultimate Edition is on it, but if it is, then again, another great game to experience through Game Pass. Not knocking digital or Game Pass or anything like that, it's just that for me personally, I feel like, you know, when you look at physical editions of games, usually they are significantly cheaper than their digital editions, and getting this for, you know, $2.50 basically, pretty cool, and I still enjoy it either way, just not as much from what I've played of the 360 version. But either way, let's jump back to me in front of the shelf. I wasn't kidding when I literally said it was hiding in plain sight. I'm pointing at the right spot. Yes, I am. This is the Xbox One, and I would love it if down below you could comment some of your Xbox One recommendations. I have gotten some games since. Not many of them are going to be talked about in this series because a fair amount of them are digital, but I have gotten some games since, and the ones that I have gotten that will be talked about will be in future episodes of Did I Get What I Ordered. But point is, though, is I would love to hear your recommendations either for the Xbox One proper or for other previous generations that are compatible on the Xbox One. I'm very happy happy that recently, fairly recently actually, for Xbox's anniversary, they did release new backwards compatible games. And if you want to know how backwards compatibility works, then by the time this video is out, there should be a video on our tutorial level channel about how it works and how you can get the most out of it, depending on which version of the Xbox you have. I only have this one, but still, I have read up on some of the other ones and how they work with backwards compatibility. And yeah, I'm really happy about it because, like I mentioned most likely in the video, this is the OG model, and yet still games work on it just fine. Even some fairly new games from what I've read, so that's really cool. So, love you all, take care, and tune in next time. But before you do, please remember to like and subscribe if you like the video, and if you don't, you can still like and subscribe either way. Nobody will judge you for it. So, love you all, take care, and see ya.